How are you today? Hope all of you are okay. Today we will discuss about past perfect, and then I will compare it between past perfect and past simple. Okay, now we'll start with past perfect first. Okay, we'll start with the pattern first. Past perfect, subject, had, verb 3 or past participle, and then object. This is for affirmative sentence or for positive sentence. And then for negative sentence, subject, had not, hadn't, verb 3, and then object. And then for interrogative, we start with had, subject, verb 3, and then object. I'll give you example for affirmative sentence. You had studied English before you moved to New York. For the question, had you studied English before you moved to New York? And then for the negative, you had not studied English before you moved to New York. Now, when do we use past perfect? The past perfect expresses the idea that something occurred before another action in the past. So past perfect happened before the past simple. It can also show that something happened before a specific time in the past. Okay, I'll give you another example. I did not have any money because I had lost my wallet. Had Susan ever traveled Thai before she moved to Thailand? She only understood the movie because she had read the book. And then, for the interrogative, had you ever visited Korea before your trip in 2016? Yes, I had been to Korea once before. So it happened in the past. Now I will try to compare between past perfect and then past simple. For the past simple, we have studied about it. Subject, verb 2, and then object. For the past perfect, subject, had, and then past participle, and then object. I'll give you example. For the past simple, I helped him. For the past perfect, I had helped him. This for the regular verb. And then for the irregular verb, I ate breakfast. Past perfect, I had eaten breakfast. Okay. Exception when ending ed. Okay. This is the regular rule. When the final letter is e, we only add d. For example, love become loved. After a short stressed vowel, the final consonant is doubled. For example, admit. The T is double, become admitted. And then the third one, final L is always double in British English, but not in American English. Travel become traveled. After a consonant, final Y usually becomes I. Okay, but not after a vowel. Worry become worried, but not about play. Play still Y. Okay, now we'll go to the usage. We use simple past if we give past event in order in which they occurred. However, when we look back from a certain time in the past to tell what had happened before, we use past perfect. Normal order in the past or looking back to an event before a certain time in the past. Okay, do you just want to tell what had happened sometime in the past, or do you want to tell what happened before to the certain time in the past? Okay, for the past simple, sometime in the past, we can use, this is usually certain time. Jane got up at 7. She opened her birthday present and then the whole family went to the zoo. For about the past perfect, before or up to certain time in the past. Before her 6th birthday, Jane had never been to the zoo. Okay, for the time signal, there is then, up to then, before that day, after. Okay. After, we will discuss about before and after now. After is only used as a signal word for past perfect if it is followed by past perfect. Subject, had, verb 3, and then object. Meaning that one action had been completed before another action begin. Okay. After the family had had breakfast, they went to the zoo. So after is followed by past perfect. We can also reverse the past perfect and the past simple. They went to the zoo after the family had had breakfast. Notice that we leave out the comma because there is connector after. Because we put after in the middle, so there is no comma. But if we put after in front of the sentence, we need to give comma. Then we will use before. Before as well as can either be used with simple past or past perfect. If the action after before is a new action. Jane had read a lot about elephants before she went to the zoo. So before is followed by past simple. Before the family went to the zoo, they had had breakfast. We can also reverse the sentence. They had had breakfast before they went to the zoo. Notice there is no comma. Why? Because before is in the middle of the sentence. But if we put before in front of the sentence, we have to give comma. Okay. More exception with signal word. Depending on the situation, when can be used with simple past or past perfect. Okay. When Jane saw the elephant, she was amazed. It happened at the same time. Okay. When Jane had seen the elephant, she wanted to see the giraffe. Second action happened after the first action had been completed. So Jane had seen the elephant, it's already finished, and then she want another. When Jane went to see the elephant, she had already seen the lion. So the second action has been completed, so or has already finished. These two tenses are both used to talk about things that happened in the past. However, we use past perfect to talk about something that happened before another action in the past. So we can or make it easier that past perfect happened before the past simple, which is usually expressed by the past simple. I had already eaten my dinner when he called. So the first action, had already eaten, has finished and then followed by another action. In other words, first I ate my dinner and then he called. The past perfect is often used with already, yet, just, and even. In the following sentences, do we need the past simple form of the verb or the past perfect? The first two questions should remind you when we use each tense. Thank you everyone. That's the end of our comparison between past simple and past perfect. I will see you with when and while between past simple and past continuous. Bye everyone. Take care always.